I never thought I'd see the day someone tried to legally steal my house, but Karen wasn't just anyone. She was the kind of woman who treated the HOA like her personal kingdom and my front yard like her battlefield. It started 6 months ago, when my wife and I bought a foreclosed home in Cedarbrook Hills. It needed work, cracked sidewalk, faded shutters, weeds taller than my dog, but it was ours. We poured everything into fixing it up. We weren't even fully moved in when she showed up. Karen Mallister, HOA president, clipboard in hand, pastel sweater draped over her shoulders like a cape of entitlement. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said, not even pretending to smile. "This home's been an eyesore for years. We expect you to bring it up to standard within 30 days, or face fines." I explained politely that the house was exempt because it had gone through foreclosure and auction. It was no longer under HOA jurisdiction. I even showed her the paperwork. Her eyes narrowed. "That's not how it works here. No one lives in Cedarbrook without following my rules." That was warning number 1. Weeks passed, and Karen escalated first citations for unauthorized paint colors, then claims that my front steps were a safety hazard and needed demolition. She even hired a landscaper to trespass onto my yard and trim my hedges without permission. We filed complaints. We kept receipts. My wife, who works for the county clerk's office, double-checked everything. Sure enough, our house was fully outside the HOA's reach, but Karen wasn't going to accept that. Then came the letter. I found it in our mailbox, no stamp, hand-delivered fake HOA seal on top. It claimed our deed had been revoked due to non-compliance and that our property was being reassigned to HOA control. My wife was furious. "This isn't just harassment anymore," she said. "This is fraud. She's literally trying to steal our house." We called our attorney and filed a cease and desist, but Karen wasn't finished. 1 week later, I was in the garage when I heard shouting outside. I checked the doorbell, command froze. Karen had brought movers, real movers, and a locksmith. She was pointing at my front door, waving papers, yelling, "They've been evicted. This property is under HOA seizure rights." The locksmith looked uncomfortable. The movers looked confused. I walked outside, calm as ever. "Karen, if you step 1 foot onto my porch, that's trespassing. If you break that lock, that's felony burglary." That's when she whipped out her phone and dialed 911. "Yes, this is Karen Mallister, HOA, president of Cedarbrook Hills. I'm dealing with squatters. They've refused to vacate and they're threatening me. Send someone immediately." What she didn't know was that my wife was working dispatch that day. 10 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Karen strutted over like she was about to win. "They're squatters," she said confidently. "They forged ownership and threatened me." But the deputy was already shaking his head. "Ma'am, we've reviewed the 911 call with dispatch. The county confirmed this property is privately owned and exempt from HOA control. You've been told multiple times not to interfere." Karen's face twitched. "But they don't belong here. I'm the HOA president." "Ma'am," the deputy cut her off sharply. "Impersonating an officer of the court by issuing fake property notices is a crime. So is filing a false police report." Her jaw dropped. "You're under arrest for fraud and filing a false emergency report. You have the right to remain silent." I wish you could be seen her face. As they cuffed her like her whole reality had just been flipped upside down. As they loaded her into the cruiser, she screamed, "This isn't over. I built this neighborhood." But for once, she didn't get to finish her sentence. That night, I hugged my wife tighter than ever. Karen was charged with 2 misdemeanors and 1 felony. A restraining order now keeps her 250 feet away from our home. The HOA held an emergency vote the next week. Karen was removed unanimously.